Hi, and welcome back. And remember, this is the X, NMRA. Our next clinician is an enthusiastic and maybe even obsessive fan of the Mexican railways. He's always pleased to share his knowledge and his passion for the hobby. He creates railroading videos in Spanish to increase model railroading interest and engagement all around the world. Would you help me please welcome Eduardo Becherell?
Hi, John. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm really excited to share with you this presentation today. And this is very special for me because I found so many information about the topic, so many pictures, so many history. And I will try to summarize really quickly, perhaps 45 minutes, 50 minutes presentation. And we're going to see 4 points. We're going to see how is the current infrastructure in Mexico, the origins of Mexican railroads, and we're going to see some of the main schemes currently in 2021. And finally, we're going to talk about Chepe and Jose Cuervo Express. These are beautiful trains that everybody should visit at least once in the life. So I have a lot of information, so I will try to speak fast, but I will try to make this really clear for you. And please feel free to make questions. I don't have all the answers, but I will try to cover all the main questions. And also, uh, I will talk about the perhaps some of the culture and some other topics not related to the trains. Okay, let's begin. The first thing that I want to share with you, how is Mexico today? This is the infrastructure right now, but the most important is the first line, the green line. Today, we have almost 11,000 miles between main and secondary lines. We have another numbers like private rails out of service, but this is the most important number. Please remember this because we're going to talk about this number through the presentation. These numbers remain almost the same for, I believe, 100, a little more of 100 years. This is very important. Okay, left to right, they are sorted by size trackage. Here are the main players. We have the first one is Ferromex, then we have division of Kansas City in Mexico. We also have Ferrosur and we have Ferrovalle. Ferromex and Ferrosur are from the same group. They both belong to Grupo Mexico. I will explain what is Grupo Mexico later. But Grupo Mexico is the main player if we're talking about Mexican railroad today. And what else? Okay, Ferrovalle. What is Ferrovalle? Ferrovalle is the biggest railroad terminal in Mexico. It's located in Mexico City, and the main function of this railroad is the interconnection between the south and the north. They receive all the trains from the south of the country. They storage, they classify, they manage all the trains, rearrange the trains, and prepare for the next trip to the north and then to the United States and then to Canada. So this is why Ferrovalle is so important for the infrastructure right now. But as I mentioned, Grupo Mexico is the big player. Established in 1890 as a mining company, they have three divisions. Well, the main divisions are mining, transport, and they have infrastructure division. The railroad is under transport, and this is important for us. They also have another division like they do some kind community service. They have a train they call Doctor Wagon, or in Spanish is Doctor Wagon. This is a special trains that go all around Mexico with the full service. If you need medical assistance, they provide you and it is free. So this is something good from Grupo Mexico. And as you can see, Grupo Mexico has presence in almost all the states in Mexico. They have a little more of 800 engines and a little more of 26 or 1,000 cars between boxcar, intermodal, and all kind of cars. Grupo Mexico also, well, as I said, they own Ferromex. They acquired Ferromex in 1998. They acquired Ferrosur in 2005. They also have Florida East Company Railway. They acquired in 2017. They own Intermodal Mexico and also Texas Pacific Railroad. So as you can see, if we're going to talk about railroads in Mexico, Grupo Mexico is the name. This is very important for the country right now. Okay, uh, here is the map. I hope that you can see all the lines. In the blue line, or perhaps purple in your screen, you can see Ferromex. Then next in red we have Kansas City, and in the green light is Ferrosur. These are the main players. Also, we have Ferrovalle, but it's a small dot, all in Mexico City. So this is very very important. So this gives you an idea how is divided right now the country. We also have another colors. We have Ferrocarril Chiapas and something else, but they don't represent as much as the company I mentioned. But if you see, we have a green rectangle in the middle of the map. Why do I have this? This is very important. The next section, we're going to talk about origins of Mexico Railroad, and we need to focus in the states of this rectangle. We're going to talk about Veracruz and Mexico City. This is where everything began a little more of 100 years ago. So please keep in mind that we're going to talk about these states. Okay. Okay. As a reference, I will mention that I found that the first train in England was established in 1825, the Stockton and Darlington Railroad. And also in the United States, I found that the first train was in 1827, Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. This is important, and I will explain why. Then we have another key points that in Mexico, how this was born. We have the first study in 1837. Someone called Francisco de Arrillaga create the first study to make the first link between Mexico City and Veracruz port. But nothing happened, no approval, no investment. So we need to wait until 1850. We have the first trip between Veracruz port and El Molino. In the map, I don't have El Molino because 6.8 miles is really nothing. But if you see the red point, that's Veracruz. And if you go to your left, you will find El Molino. But this is a small part of the train. Then, believe it or not, in Mexico we have an emperor like Maximilian I from Habsburg. He created the branch between Mexico City, the blue dots, and Apizaco. Apizaco is the green dot. Then in 1869, they create another branch between Apizaco and Puebla. Apizaco is the green dot and Puebla is the yellow dot. So finally, in 1873, we have the first trip between Mexico City and Veracruz. This was under President Sebastián Lerdo de Tejada. The name of this railroad was Ferrocarril Mexicano. This was already a concession to London. And the question is, why take you almost 50 years between, let's say, England and Mexico to create the first trip? In England, as you can see, it was in 1825. And in Mexico, until 1873, we have the first trip. Well, we have several factors to answer these questions. And I will not go deep because this is only a presentation of trends. I will not talk about politics. I will not talk about who is good, the good country, bad countries, the good fellows. I'm just gonna say the real facts. In this time, Mexico, we have three different kind of wars. The first, between 1838 and 1839, we have the first French intervention in Mexico. In Spanish, they call Guerra de los Pasteles. In English, is like cake war, something like that. Then, between 1846 and 1848, we have United States intervention in Mexico. And in this intervention or war, Mexico lost half of the country. Then, between 1862 and 1867, we have the second French intervention. This second intervention is very important because we have this famous battle in Puebla that in Mexico we celebrate. In United States, they call Cinco de Mayo. This is very important, and I want to make this clear. In Mexico, Cinco de Mayo, we celebrate that we defeat the French army in Puebla. That's it. No more celebration. That's the importance for Mexican. In United States, it's a different meaning, but this is very important. So between 1838 and 1867, we have three interventions, three wars. We have many other things that the government to think about it. So that's one of the reasons why this process delay 50 years. So in my personal opinion, these factors delay the construction of the first train between Mexico City and Veracruz. Okay, next. Okay, who is this guy? In Mexico, this is one of the most controversial, let me say, president slash dictator in the Mexican history. Porfirio Diaz was a soldier and also a president. He ruled for over 3 decades in Mexico. He controlled the population using the army, and many people believe he's responsible for Mexican Revolution. Personally, I believe that he's responsible. But let's not talk about politics. Let's not talk about he's the bad guy. Let's talk about trends. Porfirio Diaz, he also has a vision to create a better country, to create a different Mexico. And he believes and he knows how important is the transport, the trade, how important is connections between Mexico and United States at that time. And he promote concessions in order to uh, create or foster trade between the countries, and he also create wealth for the country. Obviously, the problem is all the wealth was in hands of a few people, or sometimes the money was in foreign countries, not exactly into the people. But personal belief is if Porfirio Diaz, well, I mean, without Porfirio Diaz, Mexican Railroad wouldn't exist. This is very important, and I will explain why is this so important for railroad infrastructure right now. Okay, as I mentioned, the railroad heyday in Mexico was between 1880 and 1910. This is the period of Porfirio Diaz, And what happened in these 3 decades? Okay, we have many things to talk. First, during his first period, he added almost 600 miles to the system. Then, for between 1880 and 1884, his personal friend Manuel Gonzalez, and let me, this is like between quotation, Manuel Gonzalez and Porfirio Diaz, they were close friends, and I mean they are almost the same. But what Manuel Gonzalez contributed to the railroad? In the period of Manuel Gonzalez, he multiplied by five the the trackage that we have. So we almost have 3,000 miles during this period. Also, we create, in Spanish, we call Ley Ferroviaria General. In English, perhaps is Mexican Railroad Law, create in this period. And this is very important. We have the first railroad concessions in Mexico history. And these concessions, they have particular points. And I will mention only a few. For example, the duration of this concession, 99 years. The concessions, they have right to expropriate lines if they need it. They don't need permission of the government. They also have federal and local exception for tax. They don't pay tax. And what else? Well, they have subsidy for every mile that they build, and some other important points. For example, if one of these concessions want to import, let's say, oil to Mexico, they don't pay tax. They can do this import for free. So the facts are these concessions was a big gift for foreign companies. Many people said that Porfirio Diaz uh, give away Mexico with this concession. This is very difficult to argue, but as I said, I will not talk about politics. I will only mention the facts that I have. Then, in 1890, we almost achieved 6,000 miles. You can see the number right there. And Mexico government created this special department. In Spanish, they say Secretaría de Comunicaciones y Obras Públicas. This is an government entity in charge of communications and construction, public construction. So in 1890, Mexican government created this department. What else? Oh, well, finally, in 1899, Mexican people said, I believe these concessions need new rules because we are giving so much to the foreign countries, and they don't pay tax, they expropriate lands, and they are making a lot of money, but not for Mexico. So in 1899, we create a new law, new railroad legislation. So to to I don't know, to summarize Porfirio Diaz legacy, at the end of his period, is like 1910, 1910, 1911. He left Mexico and escaped to Veracruz. But the legacy, he almost built, well, he built a little more of 12,000 miles in Mexico. In kilometers is 20,000 kilometers. And if you remember the first slide, is almost the same number. This hasn't changed for over 100 years. This is why I mentioned that Porfirio Diaz is really important for Mexico Railroad. You can see at the end that the legacy is very important. And about that time, we were the only country in Latin America with this expansion and with this communication from north and south of the country. We mentioned these concessions. Of course, we have many concessions, but the two most important are these ones, the one in red and the one in yellow. The first one, the one in red, was called Ferrocarril Central Mexicano, chartered in Massachusetts in 1880, and the first railroad between Mexico City and Ciudad Juarez was in 1884. The importance of this Ferrocarril Central Mexicano, he connect with ATSF is Atkinson, Topeka, Santa Fe, and Texas Pacific Railway. This is very important to the trade between Mexico and United States. And the other one, the yellow one, Ferrocarril Nacional Mexicano, established in 1881, and they run through Mexico City, go to Saltillo, and then Monterrey, and then to Nuevo Laredo. And this is very important because from Nuevo Laredo, or Laredo as we know today, what is next? Okay, remember, we are in Laredo. Now we need to talk about Texas Mexican Railway. In March of 1875, they were chartered as Corpus Christi. It's like a narrow gauge between along the Gulf of Mexico, but this railroad supposed to run from Laredo to Corpus Christi, and as I mentioned, it's a narrow gauge. But in 1881, they sold this company, and the investors renamed the Texas Mexican Railroad Company. And why is this important? The next slide will explain why. Remember, the yellow line ended in Laredo. Then Laredo to Corpus Christi was the Texas Mexican Railway. In 1900, Mexican government acquired control of this railway for the next 80 years. In 1902, they changed to the standard gauge, and it remained almost the same until 1982, that Mexican government sold this company, and it was private and bought by Grupo TMM, that is Grupo Transportación Ferroviaria Mexicana, and then Kansas City acquired Grupo TMM. So this is the importance of Texas Mexican Railway. Today, Kansas City and the division of Mexico own all these sections in Mexico's story. Okay, we already saw the main concessions, Ferrocarril Central and Ferrocarril Nacional. But who owns the money? Who has the financial control of these railways? For Ferrocarril Central, as you can see, the Standard Oil Company, they put the money, and the Sprayer House from New York and London, they put the money for Ferrocarril Nacional. This is very important because these companies, they have they, they have to borrow money for these companies, and you will see later why is this important, because at the end, Mexican government has to pay the interest for these monies. So to finish this period between 1880 and 1910, in 1908 was created Ferrocarriles Nacionales de México. What happened? They decided to join Ferrocarril Central and Ferrocarril Nacional. We have another concession, but these two, they practically control 75% of the structure in that time. And some people believe, oh, this is great. We have big railroad company in Mexico. Now it's called Ferrocarriles Nacionales de Mexico. This is excellent for the country. I'm not sure about. And also, I found a wonderful book called Mexico Bárbaro by John Tucker. And in this book, he explained that with this consolidation, he make this question: with this consolidation, foreign capital will take control of Mexican system. The question and the answer are complicated. My personal belief is yes. With the creation of this big entity, the the control of Mexican railways take to the foreign capital and therefore to the foreign companies. But this is a very delicate subject, so I only will say that in that year, Ferrocarriles Nacionales de Mexico was created, but we have some doubts if this is a good thing or a bad thing for Mexico. So, what happened then? Then we have Mexican Revolution, and perhaps it's one of the most important events in Mexican history. We have these great characters like the famous Pancho Villa, General Emiliano Zapata, and we also have Adelitas. Adelitas, they were women who traveled together with the army and with husbands, sons, and sometimes they fight together. These characters are very important for Mexico. And I will talk really briefly because I could spend hours and hours talking about Mexican Revolution. But what is the importance to the train? What is the importance to the structure to Mexico? Okay, both sides recognize the importance of the train. They need to move fast. They need to move with all the army, with the horses, supplies, guns, with everything they have. And they see two alternatives: either take control of Mexican railway or destroy it. So, in the north of the country, mainly with the General Pancho Villa, we have several battles, and the train was really important for Mexico. As I mentioned, this is the most important socio-political event in Mexico, but let me focus at the end of this period. This revolution last 10 years. It was something really ugly, 10 years in world. And at the end, we have this Mexican politician, Alberto J. Panini. He delivered a damage report of the revolution to the system. He present this report to the authorities of Ferrocarriles Nacionales de Mexico, and in that report he explained, okay, we have 49 millions in Mexican silver pesos of damage, and he said that 56% were of rail destruction, 80% of bridge destruction, 80% of cars, and 8% of building. Also, in that report, he explained that 40 passenger cars were damaged and almost 4,000 of boxcars destroyed and only 50 steam engines. That's the official number, but as you can imagine, during war, it's kind of difficult to have all the proper record to to take control of everything that happened in that period. And I found unofficial numbers that a little more over 9,000 boxcars were destroyed, and also several hundreds, not only 50 steam, several hundreds of steam engines were destroyed, and of course, bridges, structures, and many other things. So, what is the importance of Mexican Revolution? Mexican Revolution is really close to the trains. They control the trains, they control the army, and both sides know the importance of this. We lost a lot of engines, boxcar, and also the structure. And the revolution is really important for Mexico that even today we celebrate with pictures like this. This is from Kansas City. They have a special caboose they call El Revolucionario. This is a tribute to all the revolution people who fight during that time. Also, 2 years ago, we have an exhibition in Mexico City, in Zocalo. We have this beautiful engine called Petra. This is a 280 engine, was built in 1899 by Alco, American Locomotive Company, and retired until 1968. Was assigned to FCI number 67. FCI means Ferrocarril Interoceánico. This was a narrow gauge between Veracruz and Acapulco. Well, this didn't reach Acapulco, but supposed to reach Veracruz and Acapulco. Today, this engine is in Museo de los Ferrocarriles in Mexico City. And the name Petra, why is called Petra? The name of Petra is in honor a female revolutionary who fought in the Battle of Torreon, Petra Herrera. The Battle of Torreon was in 1914. So today we celebrate revolution, and I believe this is the only engine that we have here in Mexico, and I believe there's another one in Puebla in the museum. But 2 years ago in Mexico City, we have this exhibition. Okay, let's make a really quick stop, and let's see what are the main points until now. Okay, we have in 1950 the first trip between Veracruz and El Molino. In 1980, as I mentioned, we have the first concession. Then in 1908, we have Ferrocarriles Nacionales de Mexico, and something important, Mexico government owns 58% of the company. The other, as you will imagine, is from foreign companies. And in the middle of the revolution, I mean 1914, remember, Mexican Revolution was between 1910 and 1920. In the middle, 1914, we have this called Ferrocarriles Constitucionalistas. And I found two versions of the history. One version said that CEO of Ferrocarriles Nacionales de Mexico visit President Venustiano Carranza and ask for help. He said, the situation is very hard. The revolution is it's a big problem for us. We don't have money. Please take control of the company. This is one version. The other version said that that President Venustiano Carranza took control and he didn't ask. But behind of this, you will find that Mexican government was obligated to pay interest. Remember who controlled the money for this company? The Standard Oil and the Sprayer House. With this, Ferrocarriles Constitucionalistas, Mexico government has to pay interest and support the issue bonds for the company. So my personal belief is that the CEO of Ferrocarriles Nacionales de Mexico delivered the company to the government in order to cover all the financial needs in that time. So after the revolution, 1926, the government says, okay, I don't need this company anymore. So they return Ferrocarriles Nacionales de Mexico to the private companies. They say, okay, this is the company. Now you need to pay the interest. You need to invest money and make this work. But then in 1937, President Lázaro Cárdenas, he expropriated again Ferrocarriles Nacionales de Mexico. But not only train, he expropriated the oil companies and many other companies. This was a period that Mexico believed that all these companies belong to the people, and so the government needs to take control. So between 1937 and 2001, we have a lot of elements. We have many stories to tell, but I don't have time. So I just want to say that in 2001, President Vicente Fox finally sold Ferrocarriles Nacionales de Mexico. But this sale was prepared not only by Vicente Fox. We have another Mexican presidents who participate, Ernesto Zedillo, Carlos Salinas. This was like perhaps 2 or 3 presidents that were involved. But at the end, Presidente Vicente Fox sold all the company. Okay, let me see my time, and also I need a little water. Okay, I think I have still some time. Now, let's talk about Nacionales de Mexico, or the famous NDM. Those that we are into the modern railroad, we love NDM, and you will see perhaps some schemes from Aterm, from Intermountain, from Scale Trains with the logo NDM. Let's talk about NDM. As I mentioned, Nacionales de Mexico was established in 1908, but we have other railroads in Mexico, not only Nacionales de Mexico. As you can see, we have FCPA, we have CHP, that is Chihuahua Pacifico, SBC, and we have FCI, Ferrocarril Interoceánico. Remember Petra? Petra was assigned to this railroad, FCI. And we have in Yucatan, UDY, and then FUS. So we have another railroads, but the main lines were Nacionales de Mexico with the 2 concessions that we already talked. This remained the same until late 80s, 87 to be exactly. Ferrocarril Nacional Mexicana take control of these other railroads in Mexico and create Ferrocarril Nacional Mexicana with the logo FNM. And they create divisions, Center, South, Pacific, North Pacific, and some others. So if you like model railroad, you will see the logo NDM between 1908 and late 80s. And between 87 and 2000, you will see Mexican models with FNM. This is the reason, but this is all the same. We are all Nacionales de México. Also, in 1987, we have another government entity, Secretaría de Comunicaciones y Transporte. This is like Communication and Transport Secretary or department. They control Ferrocarriles Nacionales de Mexico. This is very important. And what else? Obviously, there are many histories. There are many things to mention, but I believe I only have maybe 20 minutes, maybe later. But I will not talk about every engine that you see here. These are only diesels. Obviously, Mexico, we have steam engines, but in order to make this a little more compact, I will only present diesel engines. So this is important. Remember, in Mexico, we have many steam engines. One of the most famous engines in Mexico is the Niagara engine. And we have consolidation, and we have 246, 260, and so many other models. And in the screen, you will see that I have three models in red. These models are special for Mexico, and I will explain why they are special. The first one, we have this GE Super 7. Mexico acquired 223 of this model, and I believe they only have in one railway in the United States that use the Super 7. I'm not sure about the pronunciation, so sorry if I don't say this okay. The railroad in the United States that use Super 7, Monongalia Railway, I believe so, they acquired only 11. Also in Quebec, Roberval and Sequenay Railway, they have this model. But in Mexico, we have 3 types of Super 7. Super 7R, that means rebuilt, Super 7N, that means new, and Super 7MP, that they have new technology and microprocessor, and they were the best of the best. GE sent engineers to Mexico to build this 89 Super 7. They rebuilt from U-30C, U-36-7, C-30s, and Mexican road fans really love this engine for this reason, because it was built almost complete in Mexico, and they feel like they own the model. And they also say that the original scheme, the colors, they were beautiful, and the most important, the Super 7, they were the last acquisition before the Ferrocarriles of Mexico sold to the private companies. Then we have this big monster. Personal, I don't like it. Mexico acquired 14 engines. This was made by Baldwin Locomotive. This engine, the they call DR12A 3000. 3000 means horsepower, and it's not a one. It's not only one motor. This engine has two diesel motors. Each motor has 100, 500,000 of horsepower, but as they have two, they say 3,000 horsepower. This is also something peculiar for Mexico, and I believe Baldwin construct 56 of this engine, and Mexico acquired only 14. Then uh, we have this beautiful engine, beautiful, but also uh, I don't know how to say this, um, problematic. And this engine represent how Mexican government work. Let me explain very quickly. We acquired 39 of these engines in 1982. We have a project to link Coatzacoalcos in Veracruz and Salina Cruz in Oaxaca. They call Ferrocarril Transísmico, something like the Panama Canal, but the project never realized. There are many factors, investment, and United States was not involved in this project, but let's not talk about that. At the end, we don't have this project. So what Mexican government does? He storage this engine for almost 11 years. Then in 94, they remember, oh, we have these engines. Let's make something with it. They make a new route between Mexico City and Querétaro. Querétaro is in the middle of the Mexico if you're going to south to north. But we have another problem. We have a problem with the catenary systems. The height was not correct. They don't plan proper this project. Also, they have problem with the voltage of the system. So at the end, this project only gave service for 3 years, and TMM, Mexican Grupo Transportación Ferroviaria Mexicana, sold these engines to Navajo Mine Railroad, and we have no survival information from these engines. These are beautiful engines, but well, this is the sad story of this. Okay, almost done. I still have perhaps 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Let's do this very quickly. Currently, 2021. Now, I only will share with you pictures from people who helped me to make this presentation, and this is just a little taste of how Mexican railroad work. And here, this is you will see these are from Kansas City. I took this photo 2 years ago in Querétaro. It's a GES44. The number that you see is the approx quantity that Kansas City has in Mexico. We also have these beautiful things from Kansas City, ES44, SD70, and GP38. In your left at the end is the SD70. In the front, you will see GP38 and ES44. This is a beautiful picture from EMDSD40. And this is beautiful because they have the same colors that we have with Ferrocarriles Nacionales de Mexico, or FNM. In Mexico, we call these engines pitufas. Pitufas mean in English Smurf Smurf is the little cartoon, the blue cartoon, Smurfs. So in Spanish, Smurf is pitufas. In Mexico, we love this scheme. And then we have Ferromex with SD17, SD40. What else? Oh, this new engine. This is a controversial scheme. Some people love it, some people hate. They said it's almost exactly like the CN in Canada. Yeah, it looks like Canadian scheme, but it's different. Personally, I like it, and I hope that perhaps after on scale trends someday will produce this model. Definitely I will buy many of these engines. We have this special model in Mexico they call ferrococas. Cocas is like the soda of Coca-Cola company, and I believe that Atron already announced in the line ready to run that they have this scheme. I already ordered mine. These are beautiful. We have from Ferrosur. In Mexico, we call ranas. Rana means frogs. Uh, as you know, all the frogs are green, so they call ranas in Mexico. And we also have some engines from Ferrovalle. Ferrovalle has different engines, but here you only see switchers. As I mentioned, they have a big yard in Mexico City. Finally, oof, I think I have 4 minutes. Let's talk about Chepe and Jose Cuervo Express. Today, these are the only trains for passengers. Let's not talk about the Mayan train. That's a different project. This is uh, this is reality. Chepe and Jose Cuervo, the owner of these trains is Grupo México, as I mentioned. And what is this? Okay, Chepe. Tell me, it's a trip between Chihuahua and Sinaloa, between the city of Cruel and Los Mochis. The complete trip is almost 10 hours. They have 6 passenger cars with restaurants, observatory, full capacity of 500 passengers, and they have 3 divisions. They have first class, executive class, and tourist class. The cost range are between perhaps $40 and maybe $200. This depends because single trip in, let's say, tourist start from $40. But it's different if you want to take the train and let's see, you go to Krill and then go to El Fuerte on executive class. Then spend the night in El Fuerte. You need to spend the money in the hotel. Then at the next day, you take the train and go to Los Mochis, and then you need to pay something different. So the cost of the trip depend of the itinerary that you choose. This is really good. Strongly recommend this, and the information is at chepe.mx. And finally, no, well, almost finally, this is the engine of the Chepe. It's GP40 and personal quote. I have this engine. I'm modeling this engine. I trying to convert my old Bagman into one of Chepe Express. Finally, the lovers of tequila. We have this Jose Cuervo Express. This train is in Guadalajara City, in Jalisco. It's a trip to Tequila Zone. They visit this area and they show how tequila is made. They teach about agave. You can see mariachis and all the Mexican folklore. This is one day single well, not single run trip, 11 hours. The complete tour is 11 hours. If you visit Sonoma or Napa, they have a train wine. This is almost the same. You visit the son of tequila, you visit how, and they teach you how tequila is made. This has 4 classes. They have express. The express class is for family. The cost is $100 for adults. Children under 5 are free, and premium, diamond, and elite class the price is up to $150, and this class are for only beyond 18 years, and only for grown-ups. No childs are allowed in this section. So, well, almost 10 minutes before the time. Thank you for letting me sharing this with you. I have some people to thank. You will see here the reference and the books that I consult, photographers, and many things that I found. And right now, if we have some questions, I'd
Eduardo,
be
thank
happy
you
to
very
help.
much. Wonderful. Boy, that was really interesting. And there are a number of comments, chats on the two streams about how people enjoyed the presentation and the history. And I think maybe a subject matter that a lot of us don't know very much about. So thank you very much about that. I do have a few questions here. So I'm just jump right in here. And we still have a few minutes because we're going to be taking a break at the end of this presentation. So Eduardo, tell me about the how are international connections made between Mexico and the U.S.? Do the trains kind of run straight through the border, or do they have to stop and go through all kinds of checking and changing and stuff like that?
No, they need to stop in the border. I believe is in I remember is in Laredo. They have this station, and also in El Paso. This is very, very, very difficult because one of my friends who worked from one of the companies, I will not mention which one, he told me that sometimes the train need to stay almost a week in order to enter the United States.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it's really complicated.
Wow. So there's a lot involved in getting cargo moved back and forth.
Yeah, this is a complicated process,
Huh.
but yeah, the main, I believe the main are Laredo. They also have El Paso, and we also have Eagle Pass. They are the main, and I also believe they have another border in Brownsville, Texas, but they need to wait and in order to go to the United States.
Okay. Super. What's is there a lot of rail fans and rail fanning in Mexico? Do you
Yeah, I believe that in Mexico it's kind of mix, perhaps 50-50 between rail fans and model railroad. I'm gonna make an advertisement. The first, the main rail fan YouTube channel is called Maquinista 3029. That's how you spell Maquinista 3029. He's like all rail fan. You will see only engines, and more engines. But yeah, we have a big rail fan in Mexico.
Awesome. Was there any narrow gauge railroading in northern New Mexico? I'm thinking about like there was mining railroading in Arizona and of course Colorado. Was there any like development of natural resources up that way?
Yeah, I don't have exactly where, but yeah, Mexico, we have narrow gauge. As I mentioned, we have in the middle of Mexico this project FCI, Ferrocarril Intersonic. It was a narrow gauge. The link between Laredo and Corpus Christi also was narrow gauge. And I believe, uh, uh, forgive me if I don't have the correct data, but I believe mining and some other industrial in the north of country, they have narrow gauge, but most of them they transform to standard gauge.
Yeah. So similar to the US that way.
Yeah, something like that.
There was a question about whether freight ruled in Mexico or whether, as in the U.S., or whether passenger movements were more important, like in the U.K. But I think you kind of answered that. I mean, clearly Mexico is driven as a freight railroading kind of province.
That's correct. In Mexico, the only passengers, well, we have two and perhaps three. There is Chepe,
Yeah.
is from Chihuahua. That's the only one, and the other was the Tequila Express. Is 1 day trip, and our president is thinking about Mexican train Maya in Mexican Riviera Maya. But this is a really complex subject, and well, there's division in Mexico if this is good for Mexico or not.
Yeah, yeah. Same here in the
Oh, yeah,
U.S.
yeah, we have the
Always,
same problem.
yeah. Is there any sort of metro transit service or?
Oh yeah, well, but it works different. In United States, you have Amtrak. I don't know what they have in London or other countries,
Right,
but the Amtraks you can travel from San Diego to, I don't
right.
know, Vancouver perhaps, or to the other side. In Mexico, metro is only in the cities. In Mexico City, we have this big system of metro. I believe we also have metro in Guadalajara City, and perhaps one or two more cities, but that's it.
Okay.
It's not the same system as the Amtrak.
Right, right, right. But in the U.S., we also have those sort of city-specific kind of subway systems or
Yeah,
light
yeah,
rail.
the subway system last New York. I've been in New York, and it's I don't like it. It's terrible. It's noisy and old. Well, we have our own problems, but metro is like the subway here in Mexico,
Yeah.
and but we don't have something like the Amtrak. Amtrak, no, we don't have like that.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you a model railroader yourself? And if so, what do you focus on?
Oh, I consider kind of a mix between real fan and a modeler. I have my own YouTube channel just for fun trains. I believe it's the only channel in Spanish. I focus mainly on NDM and CN. I don't know. I like the scheme of CN, the colors. It's not something special. I'm not into a specific era. My era, for if you want to say, is between 1960 and perhaps early 80. I mean, all NDM.
Yeah, cool. Cool.
Yeah, that's my.
Are there rail connections moving south between Mexico and other Central American countries? Are there rail systems in those places also?
No, I believe that there was a project to go south, but right now the information that I have, there's no connection in train between Mexico and Guatemala or Salvador. Please, Mexican fellows, if I'm wrong, please comment. But I don't have information about that.
Okay. Okay. Super. Well, we're really excited to have you as a part of the community. I think it's just amazing to
Oh,
learn.
I was really nervous because I have so many information, and I say, okay, I only have 45 minutes, and I try to explain as quickly and as clear as I can. And well, I hope you enjoy it.
The penalty in our community, the penalty for having too much information is you got to come back and give another clinic.
Of course, I will love that. Thank you very much.
Super. Well, thank you very much, Eduardo. We enjoyed having you, and we'll talk to you soon.